All right, guys, we did it. It's out. It honestly was not as bad as I thought it would be. My previous experience getting this removed, because this is my third one, so I absolutely love the Implanon, Nexplanon, whatever you call it. It's amazing because once they insert it, it's good for 3 full years. And for me, I had no period for a year, and then after that year, my period started to come back, but it was really super light. And then by the third year, I had a completely regular period again, and really like no issues or side effects with it. So this is what it looks like now. They go in, and what they'll do is they'll numb it with lidocaine. So you will get an injection with a needle, and it does sting a little bit. You just take a big deep breath and then let them do it. It feels like a bee sting. And then from there, what I did is I put my arm above my head like this, and then he took a scalpel and made an insertion. And it did take a while for him to get the rod. It's about like this long, the rod, and he had to get it up into that insertion that he made. And then once he got it through there, he was able to grab it with kind of like a pliers type tool and then kind of work the skin around it to get it out. But don't forget, I've had this for 4 years, so I actually let it expire for a full year. And because I didn't care if I was going to get pregnant, I was like, okay, I mean, we're not planning on having a baby yet. And from the research I did, it wasn't dangerous. I talked to my OBGYN, and she said not to worry about it. It probably won't cause any issues. There are risks that if you do get pregnant, then it can cause like an ectopic pregnancy. And so I was definitely careful, but I knew my periods were coming regularly, so I would have known if I didn't have a period. So there's that. Once he pulled the rod out, he showed it to me, and I was so relieved to have this thing out of my body. Like, I have just been waiting for this moment for so long to just take this birth control out. I arrived at my appointment at 11:25, and then I left there at 12:10. So it did take a little bit of time, but the reason why is because once they numb you with the lidocaine, it takes about 7 minutes for it to set up. And so they were kind of just setting up the table, getting everything set up while the lidocaine was like beginning to work. And then after that, it did take a while for him to be able to get that rod because it had gone pretty deep into my arm. After 3 years of it just like being in your body, like that's just naturally gonna happen. It's kind of just like embeds itself into your arm, and I could still feel it. So, but it took a little bit of digging, and then I would find it, I would feel it, and then you can kind of like push the skin up and you can see the edge of it. And so you can still feel it in your arm. If you ever cannot feel it in your arm, then that's not normal, and that would mean that it embedded itself like way too far into the muscle. The incision that they make is just so tiny, like just enough to be able to get that rod through. So just really, really, really little incision. And what happens is after they make that incision, they have to then take the rod and be able to pull it up through that incision. And that was what took the longest. Like once he was able to get that rod and pull it up through the incision that he made, things went a lot more smoothly. But I would say that part probably took like 20 minutes. He said this was definitely a moderate to difficult removal. He said it was a lot deeper than normal, and it was not superficial on the skin at all. So he said it definitely wasn't going to be an easy removal, so we knew that going into it. I want to show you guys the entire process because I kind of was filming during it so that I could see what was going on, because I'm definitely not one of those people who's like doesn't want to look. Like I was like, can I see? And I watched him make the incision and watched him, do some digging. And then the only thing I kind of missed because I was just chatting and trying to focus on breathing was the lidocaine injection. So everything else, I watched him do for the most part. And so if that's something that you're interested in seeing, then definitely stick around. And if not, then turn the video off here because it's not like too bad or anything. It's honestly will probably calm your nerves if you're thinking about getting a Nexplanon. I think it would help to watch that part, but it's up to you. So turn the video off if that's not something that you want to see. This is the setup for a Nexplanon removal. So you have the lidocaine, of course, and then you have that drawn up into a syringe with a needle. You have your Curlex, chlorhexidine if needed, Dermabond, which is basically like skin, it's like super glue for the skin, and some scissors. And of course, they'll pull out the other stuff that they need, like these clamps and the scalpel and things like that. They're going to clean the area, and then they are going to put on sterile gloves and put a drape over the area. Then they're going to really start feeling for the implant and make sure that they know exactly where it's at. At that point, then they will make an incision right where the implant is poking out. They will try to make the smallest incision possible, but they may have to go a little deeper depending on how long you've had the implant and how deep into your arm it actually is. During the procedure, I did not feel any of this. I felt maybe like a little bit of pressure or like tension, but no pain. Like when he made the incision, I did not feel him making the incision. And then it finally came out. It did take a little bit of digging because it was deep, deep within the arm. It was probably a good like 20 solid minutes of just like digging and trying to grab onto that implant and then pushing it through that previous incision that was made. And I was so happy to have it out. I've had the Nexplanon for a really long time. Like I said, this is my third one, and so it does last for 3 years, and I guess I've had it for 10 years because I kept the last one in for 4 years. So if you want to hear my experience, I'm going to do a video answering every question there is to know about the Nexplanon, and if you click the link above, that's where the video is going to be. It'll also be below in the description. But I'm going to talk about my experience with it over the last 10 years. I'm going to answer any questions and just go over basically everything that you would ever need to know about the Nexplanon and my experience. We're also going to talk about like how soon can you get pregnant after you remove it, and just so many more like juicy details. I'm going to answer everything. If you guys like this video and you want to see more videos just like this one, then please like and subscribe. And if you have any questions for me or topics that you want to see me cover, then just leave them in the comments below. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.